what I realized is not about being good, it's about being known. Once I figured that out, I was like, I need more people to know. So then I just started putting out videos and essentially just made the decision to go from one-to-one to one-to-many. Nothing is saturated because most people suck at what they do. That's the truth of any business, and it's the same as for content. You know, people might tell you guys, don't start a podcast. There's too many podcasts. Right. Well, you'll find that not every podcast is doing like this.
Yeah.
They're not researching the topics. They're not bringing in the most relevant guests and packaging the information correctly. So when you do it that way and you don't quit, you're at the top of the podcast game.
All right, everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of the None of Your Business podcast. And as always, we have a super fascinating guest. I'm super excited about today because one of my favorite things to do, one of our very first coaches is an expert. Jay Abraham, taking content and ideas and concepts from one industry and translating them into another. And as so many of you are service providers looking to make a bigger impact and reach even more people, we're going to learn a lot about digital marketing, content, personal brand, and we're going to be learning it through the lens of something that has done absolute wonders in one industry and then teaching you how to apply it, of course, into yours. Super excited to welcome in Neel Dhingra. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
I want to start out with your journey into digital content because for whatever reason, it's so hard to get people to embrace this idea. And somehow you overcame that. You saw the angles. You're like, listen, I'm in. I'm going to do it. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about how you got started in this, how you saw value, and how you cut your teeth in that world.
Well, it's actually, if I think back, it's really simple, okay? So everybody has this problem, and I didn't realize I had the problem till I was just burnt out. So most people, service providers, doesn't matter what you sell, you're in a one-to-one environment, meaning you know, you're making calls to individuals, you're knocking on doors.
Network meeting.
Yeah, meeting. You know,
it doesn't matter. It's all one-on-one. Yeah.
And what's good about that is you can definitely network with the right people and open up cool opportunities for business. That's awesome, and I did that. But what's missing is this small circle of people. What's missing is the bigger circle. So the small circle is the people who have worked with you and stuff, and they trust you, and you do a great job. And beyond that is this whole opportunity that doesn't know these great things about you. And so I finally realized that, like, dude, I have the job down. I'm doing a great job. My clients love me. My business partners love me. People refer me business. That's awesome. The problem is not enough people know this, you know? And so what I realized is not about being good. It's about being known, right? And so once I figured that out, I was like, oh, shit, I need more people to know. So then I just started putting out videos and essentially just made the decision to go from one-to-one to one-to-many, right? So right now you guys are doing a podcast because you're going to, like hundreds, maybe thousands of people listen to this. Okay, cool. That's better than a one-to-one conversation. It scales your communication, right? So that was the basic premise. And I think people are like, oh yeah, Neel, I get that. Well, do you? Because you're spending your day talking one-to-one. So where in your day or your week or your month is an activity that's one-to-many?
I love that. In the Book Yourself Solid world, we talk about how marketing does not get you new clients. Marketing, what it does is it creates awareness.
Yeah.
And so for you learned very early. Tell us a little bit about then in those early days, you come to this realization, what industry are you in where you are doing well, you're having your success, and then what were your initial content pieces? How'd you start?
Well, I'll tell you how I started, and then I can tell you what I kind of stumbled upon. There's a formula that everybody can use. So the way I started was rad, okay, just like everybody else. You know when you get your Facebook memories, and it's like your video you posted 5 years ago?
You're like, did I really post that? That's what I look like?
Yeah. And you know it's bad when you can't even get through your own video. You know, like, how is anybody else going to watch this? So that was me for years. For the first year, I would say. But I think everyone just has to get through it. The good news is very few people see those videos.
Right.
And even with videos that I would consider cringe now, they still worked. Like, people still would reach out, and the bar is really, really low, especially for local people in any service business. You would think, oh, 2025, Neel, like a lot of people are doing this. No, there's still so much opportunity. It's insane. So I started doing that. And then along the way, I kind of figured out, okay, what are the videos that did slightly better? So maybe I'd post 10 videos. There's 2 of the 10 that would do slightly better than the others. Okay, what success leaves clues? So what did those ones have that the other ones didn't? Well, it might have been the way I started the video. It might have been your confidence in the message. It might have been I tried talking to the camera, but I just couldn't be natural. But then in a conversation just like this, I was able to be myself. That video hit. So it's going to be different for everybody. But essentially, I figured out, okay, at some point you just stop worrying about what people think of you, and you just start being yourself. And then the next step is, how do you package the information? So I wanted to teach about certain topics in finance, real estate, mortgage, all these things I was passionate about. Well, it's not the best information that wins, it's the best packaging. So anybody, a lot of people in my industry know a lot, but there's very few people who can put it in a way that the audience will watch. Why is it that sometimes you pull up a video and you could listen to that individual and you're like hooked and you're watching and you're learning and you're sharing that video, and then why is it that the next video comes up and you can't watch it for more than a few seconds?
Same information.
Same information. The second guy actually might be smarter than the first guy or gal. Like, what's the difference there? And so I really started to dive into it almost like a video game, like, okay, how do you hack attention? And so I'm a nerd. I like that stuff. So I'm just like, okay, what are the ways that we could do this better?
I want to backtrack a little bit, because you said you were doing all of these videos that now were cringe.
Yes.
I would love to see you do a throwback video.
I do that, yeah.
Do you?
I do that in events. I show people.
Because they're so good. Because you want to show people how far you've come.
Yeah,
right?
and a lot of people disqualified themselves.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think that's so important, because you said it took a while for you to overcome like what other people would think of you and just show up as yourself.
Yes.
The problem is I think a lot of people can't overcome that to even get started, right? Yeah. Like, they're not even willing to do the process and show up and do the cringe videos, because they're already pre-worrying about, if I put this out there, what if a couple people see it? What if they judge me? What if they don't like it? What if I get made fun of? And so how are you teaching people to overcome that initial hesitation?
Well, I think what happens is you kind of just have to jump in, and at some point it becomes not about you. It's about the service you provide. So for me, it was like, okay, the work I do matters. My advice matters. The work I do actually helps change people's lives. Okay, so I'm going to put that message out there. It's not really about me. Right. It's not about if your hair was off that day or you had bags under your eyes or whatever. It's like, it's more about the people you're going to help or impact with the message. And also for even for local services, I've seen, if you don't put the information out, that means they don't get it. They work with somebody else. Now, a lot of people in local service, they're always talking bad about the competitor, like, don't go with that guy or gal. They rip you off. Well, how would the customer know? And you don't have to talk bad about your competitors, but if they know about you, they might call you or they might contact you first. So coming from a place of service is number one. The second thing is, if it's okay for me to come to this meeting today, and I was okay with the way I looked in the mirror before I left the house, I didn't have any boogers on my nose, I brushed my teeth, I'm ready to go, then it's going to be okay on video. It's the same thing. Yeah. It's literally like,
right. It's no different.
Yeah. So everyone thinks they're talking to like this big audience. It's going to be you're talking to one person. Yeah. It's just like, if you're doing this correctly, the way social media is consumed is people are scrolling, they pull up a video one-to-one. It's one-to-many because many people are doing this across the country, but
it's a one-to-one experience.
Yeah, but it's a one-to-one viewing experience. Yeah. So everyone's always like, "Hey, y'all," and they're imagining this big audience,
10,000 people in the audience, and you're
it's
up on
one
stage.
Person.
Or,
it's one lady or one guy watching your video. Yeah. Are you speaking to them? Do you connect with them? And that's the difference. So once I got around that, like, you get your head wrapped around that, you start to do it more, and I've been shocked, honestly, how many people who I thought were confident cannot just pull up their phone and talk. Like, it is a real skill. But the good news about that is, if you become one of the few people who can do this, immediately you separate from the competition. So I found especially in industries where it's kind of stale and it's just traditional industry, things have been the way they've been done forever. If you move into this category, it's pretty lonely. There's not that many people there. And I think people think it's saturated. Nothing is saturated because most people suck at what they do. That's the truth of any business, and it's the same as for content. People might tell you guys, don't start a podcast. There's too many podcasts. Right. Well, you'll find that not every podcast is doing like this. Yeah. They're not researching the topics. They're not bringing in the most relevant guests and packaging the information correctly. So when you do it that way and you don't quit, you're at the top of the podcast game, right? It's not that, like, I always thought that, I can't get into the top 1%. You can in content.
I love that you left your house. I love that. You left your house and you were okay with your hair, your makeup, your
Such a
outfit.
good perspective shift.
Why can't you be on a video? Like you were okay to meet strangers, right? Like
it wasn't like if you came up to me right now, bro, and you're like, "Hey, Neil," and I just started hiding.
Right.
I'm like, "No, dude, I would talk to you."
Right.
And so
love that.
these people are okay with the conversation. It's the same thing. It's just on video. Now, I will say this: if you pull up your phone and you're gonna shoot a video, if you're in a studio like this, that's great. They have us properly lit. But a lot of times people just pull up their phone and it's like, "Oh, I don't like the way I look," and they think they're like worse looking. Well, it's not you. Maybe for some people it might be you, but it's not you.
Ouch.
It's the light. There's no light. So in here we're in this beautifully lit room. The lighting makes you look great on camera.
Right.
And then we have a mic so people can hear us. And the other thing people forget to do is just wipe their lens of their camera on their iPhone. I mean, it makes your photo and your video look so much better.
Yeah.
Right.
So just little things would improve your confidence. Because you look at it and you're like, actually, I look pretty good today.
Yeah.
Cool. Now I'll shoot the video. If you open up the thing and you look, man, I look hungover, you're probably not going to post the video.
Well, I love the way you're talking about content is easy, right?
Yes.
It's easy. It's just like a conversation. It's like you're just walking out of your house and you're running into somebody and you're having a conversation about what you do. And I think we talk a lot about the difference between content creation and content capture.
Yes.
And you can capture things that you're already doing on a daily basis and utilize that to share your message. And I think people get hung up on, well, I have to create something so unique and so special before I can put it out there versus let's just get some good lighting, let's just turn the camera and let's just have a conversation.
Yes.
And so how do you feel about that? Because I think it is important to understand the difference and it doesn't have to be so serious all the time.
Yeah, so this is actually a great advantage that people have now. So all the platforms except LinkedIn have switched from the interest or the follower graph to the interest graph. Like the social graph is what it used to be, like how many followers you have, how many subscribers you have. Now it's the interest graph. And so interest graph means like the platform is going to show you content that you might be interested in. So you'll scroll Instagram and there'll be some video that has, thousands of likes and views. And then the next video might have like 3 likes on it.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, who's this?
Yeah.
How is this video on my feed? Well, the platform thought you might be interested. So they're giving that person an audition with you for free. So that could be literally anybody. And most of the time, the videos that are performing the best right now, guys, are videos that were shot on the phone. So it used to be, a few years ago, you need like all the studio stuff and you could really impress people with the quality of it. Now, if it's too much production value, it actually doesn't help you. Now, it doesn't mean like you can't come in the studio and shoot some nice videos, but I would say for me, 50% of the content now is just shot on the phone.
Selfie style?
Selfie style, or you put it on a tripod. I still have a mic on. People can hear me. I'm still making sure I'm using the best light. I have a light in the office that I can use if I'm outside. I'm rotating until I don't hate the way I look, just until the sun hits your face. Yeah. So like you're doing a few things, but it's on the phone and it's real. And then the next step is to just talk like you're just catching up with a friend, like just give the information. It shouldn't be, I've seen people go into this new character.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's too salesy.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people that do come and they say, hey, Neil, all right, fine. I got over the hump. I'm doing videos. I'm with you. My videos are not doing anything, like I'm not getting anything.
Right.
Okay, so I love that question because they're trying to get better. A lot of times people do it for a couple of years, like I didn't get anything. Well, you never tried to get better, so they're looking back, okay, how do you get better? And the number one thing I notice is it's coming across as an ad. So content's supposed to be like, you're trying to help someone teach something, provide value, like you said, build awareness, and it's coming across like a sales ad. And so they just made like 50 ads. And they were really actually bad ads at that, So like the videos don't work.
Yeah,
then,
it's like
Or we
watching
get
a
stopped all
string
the
of
time. It's the
infomercials.
voice.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the voice. So like you
James
turn
our-
into this.
James
our
They're like,
producer.
oh, hello. Yes.
Yeah.
And we've been doing content for years, and sometimes it doesn't. It just depends on where you are. That camera turns on, and all of a sudden you do. But you got to stop.
So
yourself
the
from doing
best
that.
hack for this is like if you are having a hard time turning off this sales thing, because everybody in business is a salesman, right? And it's just ingrained in you. So if you're having a hard time turning the salesperson off, and then you're also having a hard time being yourself on camera, the hack is to just capture a conversation.
Yes.
Just get into a room like this, start a fake podcast. That's the best strategy for 2025.
Oh, I love that.
You don't have to become a podcaster. Let's just start a fake podcast so we can have conversations and you can just be yourself on camera and then chop up the clips. You don't even have to put out the long form video. Just chop the clips. And then what you'll find is you'll start to speak better because you're being filmed. You'll start to like rise to the occasion. So in the beginning, I would have conversations like this and they were just random, and you just kind of go over and then eventually you start speaking in clippable moments. You start teaching in frameworks. So you'll ask me a question and I'll say, I'm glad you asked me that. So the 3 things you need to do right now are this, because I know that that's going to be a clip later. Right. So you have to start thinking like this. Then what happens is you're intentionally creating content. So now when the year goes by, you're not coming back and saying, hey, I didn't get anything. You're like, no, I got better. Look at this. Here's the pivot I made here. Here's how I start. I changed the way I start my videos here. Here, I changed the way I did my clips here. And then you get results.
So I want to just ask about that because I think this is also really important. People get hung up on when they're like repeating information. And so you said I speak in frameworks and clippable moments. I'm sure when you say so the 3 things that you should do is fill in the blank. You probably have a lot of those and you probably do a lot of podcasts and you repeat that, right? And I think that that's important because people always feel this like need to create new things all the time.
Yeah, you think like you need to come up with 1,000 ideas. You don't need to do that. You need to come up with like 7 things and you teach them 1,000 different ways. That's the thing. So I'm repeating myself for the past 6 years on social media, but it's all just little nuance here, different situation, different story.
Like you said.
The packaging. And so like, what is the 3 ways is like one thing you can explain, but then maybe it's a story the next time you explain the same concept and you're just repeating yourself. People, the viewer, those people need to be reminded more than they need to be taught. They need to be reminded of the same thing over and over. You're trying to catch someone at the right place, right time. Sometimes somebody says they watched something I posted like 7 times, they clicked on the 7th time. We never know, right? So unless you keep showing up, it's not going to work.
That was a clippable moment. People need to be reminded, not taught.
Well, I want to get to this, your framework. You said you can teach us how to, you know, some frameworks of how we can craft our content. But I also want to frame that in the beginning with, why do we feel if we're in a certain industry, why do all realtors videos look the same? Every chiropractor, we feel we're going to do it this way. Every financial advisor, like, so we get stuck in this rut. Like this is how they're supposed to do it based off of the industry. I cannot imagine, but maybe. Do you think that we should just stick in that framework? But I have white glasses, and that will make it stand out. Or what is the framework? But also, should I just be like everyone else?
Yeah, I think this is an important question because people don't feel like they can be themselves. They don't feel creative. And so you start off by just copying somebody else. That's okay to start off with. What'll happen is along the way you find your own voice. So if you look at my videos when I first started, it looked like anybody else in my industry. But then I remember I would not dress like I would normally to the office every day. As soon as I get home, I would change into something like this. And I was like, well, why don't I just wear that to work one day, you know? And then it didn't start off like that, but it was like maybe just slightly less formal, a little more casual, and then slow on and so forth. And I'm not saying that's the hook is or the answer is just to be more yourself, but if you feel comfortable, you'll probably be more authentic in the video, right? Rather, like if you don't wear a suit every day and then you feel like the realtors wear the suit, like you won't catch me in a suit. I don't even know if I have one at this point. You know what I mean? But my brother, who's also in the same industry as me, he loves wearing suits. He he gets custom tailored suits. That's him. So there's no set formula. It's just what would make you comfortable. And then the second thing is like just the reps. You know, you get more used to it. And then along the way, you're like, okay, I'm going to start putting more of my personality into the content. So there's 2 types of people right now online. There's people who are just content creators. And then there's also people who are content creators who also have a personal brand. If you have a personal brand, people know more about you. They connect with you. They know like what makes you tick, what you're working on. Maybe they know a little bit about your family or you personally. And so those are actually people who you want to work with. This is the top category of people who really attract the best opportunities. And you know these people because we know about them through their content. The other people who just simply put out informational content, it's better than nothing, but that's where you start. But along the way, you should transition because you still put out great information, but you also share things that would build a personal brand.
But Neel, I don't want people to be like have insight in my personal life. That's what people probably say, right?
Yeah.
Because we hear that all the time, and they're like, "Well, I don't want people to know about my family. I don't want X, Y, and Z." And I think that the reality of it is that becomes a unnecessary limitation in their ability to get their message out there. I always tell people they don't need to know everything, right? You can choose what you want people to have insight on.
Yeah.
And so do you have any advice to get people over that hump? Because they do get really nervous about sharing in that way.
Yeah, 100%. So I would just say this, like, what are you, like in business, in your day-to-day work, on the streets, in the office, why do people work with you? Some of it is because you're competent, you're good at what you do. But the other reason why people work with you is because they like you.
Yeah.
How did they like you? Because maybe it's you got the 49ers thing on the wall. Maybe you're wearing a hat of a thing. Maybe you're into the Vegas Golden Knights and you were talking about that. So these are all opportunities for connection, shared interest. And so we do this in our real life. And so we just need to do this on social. I'm not asking you to like share your deepest, darkest secret.
Right.
And there's
Skeletons in the closet.
and like I'm comfortable sharing my kids and my family, but some people aren't. That's cool too.
Yeah.
But what happens is you get more, it's like a desensitization. So the more you share, then you're like a little more comfortable. Some people go too far and then they overshare.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, you try and like walk that line. But I will say that the more sharing you do, the better. Up to a certain point, but then the other trick here is if you can be vulnerable and share things that you've struggled with, that's real honesty. That's if you talk about authenticity, that's super real. So anytime I've ever shared, hey, I really struggled with this, and here's a tool that I used to help this, or I really struggled with this, or my client did, whatever, and share something vulnerable. You don't have to break any privacy or whatever, but just share something vulnerable, and then how you overcame that. That's a real lesson for people, and then they really connect with you. So those are the stories that get the most feedback and the connections.
Yeah, the whole idea of people want to know, like, and trust you before they do business with you has been in our language long before social media. Know, like, trust. And the first one is they want to know you, right? That's why it's in that order. They want to know you first. They want to like you second, and then they trust you.
Yes.
So many people try to just give content, just information to build trust without the know, like part. And it's hard nowadays.
It is. And then the people don't get they don't get the business from it.
Right.
You know,
and
you might
like,
get a little bit.
Working?
Yeah. And then they say, why doesn't it work? Well, first of all, you probably never, a lot of people do this and they don't even ask for business. So then it's like, okay, that's probably why you didn't get business. You didn't ask. But then the other part is people don't trust you. They don't. And like you said, they're not going to get to the trust part without the like part. And you'd be shocked at how little you have to share on the personal side for it to make that whole likability thing. You just have to share things. And I think people think that it needs to be of a certain level of interest or hype or something to share it. You'd be shocked how many dumb things I've shared. Like this popcorn. The dude brought in this popcorn.
Yeah.
You could make a video about this is the best popcorn you've ever had. And just post that in the midst of all this other content. Somebody will remember the popcorn more than the digital marketing content.
Right.
Yeah.
But then because they connected with you on the popcorn, they might watch your digital marketing content. Right. They might they might remember. So it's like these little opportunities. So you have to think relatable, not remarkable. Somebody's waiting for like, oh, they went to this epic place and they want to get the perfect shot. Then they'll share something personal. That you could do too. But like it's also you at the freaking store, and something happened.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that's the part. I think they just think it's like going to bring their brand down or something, but it doesn't.
Can't let you go without talking about Forward Academy.
Yeah.
Tell us what
And
you
framework,
got.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to put the framework at the end.
I was going to say, we still need the framework. You can't skip the framework
I
because
want
we
to talk
talked
about Forward
it.
Academy.
Yeah, so we have a group online where I coach and we go through content ideas, we review content, give people feedback. It's awesome. And so anybody wants information on that, you can just DM me on Instagram. I'm at Neel Home, and I'll send you the links on that. But the other thing that I think would be super relevant for people is every summer we put on this massive event here in Las Vegas. It's called the Forward Event. It's in July. It's the only event in my industry that's open to all people, but it sells out very quickly. Like it's full, and a lot of events these days aren't. And I think the reason why is because I think of us as like the professional misfits. It's like people who want to be a little different. You know what I mean? They just don't quite fit in the corporate culture, and they want to do things a little bit different. These are like the disruptors now. And so it's kind of like David versus Goliath, like personal brands and individuals against big corporations. But in this case, David can win, right? So we really empower people with communication, personal brand, content, digital, all that stuff. And that's all we work on at these conferences. So that's coming up in July. People can go to forwardevent.com.
Forwardevent.com. I know so many people, I mean, and seriously, I hope that people will step out of their comfort zone and engage with you, because I think too, part of it is we just need somebody to be the leader, to go out there and show us that we're not going to die, I'm not going to get canceled, and that nothing's bad's going to happen if I say I like this popcorn, and serve as a role model and a mentor. So I love that you're providing this, because this is such a spot that everybody needs to embrace. Lacey and I strongly believe that the world's greatest service providers, so the world's greatest lawyers, the world's greatest healers, the world's greatest fill in the blank, they live in relative obscurity simply because they refuse to embrace the concepts of marketing and sales. They won't step out there. And so then what happens is people who are less than, I hear it all the time, oh, I always see this guy's content on social media, but he doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, but he has an audience. He's the one that's stepping out.
So people are listening.
So people are listening. And so I love that you're giving people the chance. You're empowering people to share their gifts. And I really hope that you guys will connect with Neel. It is absolutely critical, because there are people that you were put on this planet to serve that actually are depending on you taking that step and reaching out and getting connected. So I hope that people will do that framework.
This is the framework. So let's just say you're listening to all this and you're like, man, I feel like I was meant to do something more. So I was called to do something bigger with my business, my life, any of that stuff. Okay. Well, like you said, the fastest path is going to be by letting more people know about this. And so you just need to put out the content. Well, people say, what do you put out? So instead of doing a year of trial and error, let me save people the time. And so what you want to do is do a 3-step formula. It's called content, connection, and conversion. So the content is going to be information that would be valuable to the people. Now, the bar for information has gone up over the last few years. People are putting out the best free information online. So you really need to raise the bar. Now, it doesn't mean it has to be genius level content, but it needs to be actually useful. So what are the best tips that you have for people? How would you save them time? How would you save them money? And this is a little bit out of the box thinking, but I think if you can get your head wrapped around this, it'll work. You need to teach people how to not need you. So think about the plumber. The best plumber content is he's teaching you not to call the plumber. He's DIY. The best mechanic, like he's teaching you how to do stuff yourself. But through that process, you end up liking and trusting him, and you want to reach out. People think they want DIY until they get home. It's like going to IKEA, you get the whole thing, and then you get home, you're like, how do I call someone to fix this? Like, do it. I don't want to do that shit. So, like, tell them how to do this stuff, share the tips. The other thing that works really well is proving that you're competent, that you're good. The best way to do this is to show client success stories and just share it in like a story. So it's like, I just helped my client, John. He had this problem. Here's how we fixed it. And by the way, if you're someone who has the same issue, feel free to reach out. Like, it's very simple like that, because you're showing real situations. The more specific and real you can get, the better, because then it's not hypothetical, it becomes like a real thing. And then the next piece after doing the content more is connection. And this is what I was talking about earlier. Just share a few things about why you do what you do. Why are you even in this industry? How'd you get into it? Even if you think it's boring, don't say no for the audience. I have a sticker on my desk that says, don't say no for the audience. Some of the videos I thought were going to be terrible were the ones that got me the most business.
Always.
It's always like that shit, isn't
crazy.
it? So just send it. Like, nothing bad happens. Worst case, you can delete it. Okay, like, you know what I mean? Like
It's
oh
really
man, I don't want to put
bad,
it.
just get rid of it.
Yeah, if you're like, oh my god, I can't deal with this, but just let it be for a few hours. Like, you might be cool with it after a while. You're like, you know what, it wasn't that bad. Just send it. So, and by the way, still to this day, I've had so many times where I post them, like, I should just delete that, and I have to tell myself, don't say no for the audience, just let it be. And then after a few hours, you don't care anymore. So that would be the connection piece. And the more you share there, the more connections you're going to have. Each time you share something personal, it's another opportunity for someone to connect with you. So any interest you have, include them in your content. It could be as simple as just wearing the jersey of your favorite team in the video you shoot. The next thing could be like a story you tell more about your family. Then the last piece, and I think this is the part people skip, is conversion. And so they think that you need to go offer for sales. So it'd be like, okay, the attorney. Like, you know, if you're in litigation or you've been arrested, or if you're whatever, going through divorce, call me. Okay, that's one thing. But the guy who's going to get the most business online is going to be the one who's offering something before that. So I realize this, guys, that the best marketers, the people who are selling the most on social, are not selling the actual service. They're not selling. They're looking for signal. They just want you to raise your hand. So in an attorney example, it could be like a guide, a checklist for people who are, you know, thinking that they're headed towards a divorce and maybe they want to get some information on this. You would give that guide beforehand. Free checklists, cheat sheet, like all these little things, or sign up for my newsletter. These are all steps before. If you have a podcast, make sure you subscribe to the podcast because I'm going over these types of things. Now people are inside your world, and then they have the opportunity to do business with you. I think people don't have that step before working with them. It's either you're over here or you're a client. There's nothing in the middle.
And they think if you don't bite on being a client, you're dead.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you're not.
But you would be, everybody who's listening and watching, everyone would be shocked how many people are just 2 or 3 questions away from working with you, but you never asked the question.
Yeah.
You never prompted them. So everything changed for me when I started prompting people in the middle, not the end.
I love it. And it's a call to action can come in so many different forms. People always think it has to be a hard sell.
Yeah.
And it can be just asking for more engagement, download this guide,
Yes.
join my community, like my page, share this with a friend. And that actually gets people to just raise their hand and say, I like you, I want to know more. So I love that.
Yeah, it could be a
Good
video
framework.
on YouTube. So
Yeah.
maybe you do like short videos to teach. You're like, hey, if you want to learn more, actually have a 20-minute tutorial on this on YouTube.
Check this out.
Check this out. Now on the YouTube, the video, because now you've got them to the middle. In the middle of the YouTube video, there's a call to action for them to book an appointment with you. But if you ask them to book an appointment here on the short video, nobody would book it. So if they went to the longer video, watched the longer video, now they book the appointment. So
Yep.
I think that's just the, I just stumbled upon that, but the best marketers are doing that now, and it still works, and it's crushing because nobody has the patience to do it.
Yeah.
You'll be able to tell that we work with a lot of people in this area, sharing content and knowledge with our subscribers. Because I'm going to ask you one more question before I let you go, because I know what everybody's thinking. Okay, Neel, so do I do 3 videos a day? Do I
They
run
are
these?
so-
they
get
That's
so
always
granular
the
with it.
question
Wait,
that everybody-
wait, yeah.
So
Yeah.
because you drop this amazing, and then people get stuck.
Yeah,
we
they
know
get
that because
stuck.
they're
Yeah.
like, oh, now I'm stuck. So do I just do all of this content first, and then
So the
what do you
step number
recommend?
1, yes. For someone who's beginner, you're gonna take out a sheet of paper or a board or something. You're gonna make a T on it, okay? And on one side, it's gonna be the problems that your clients face, the questions they come to you with, okay? And then the other side is how you solve the problems, how you answer those questions. These are each individual pieces of content, and you can start to narrow it down there. You can also ask ChatGPT to help you with this and refine all the ideas and refine the script. It comes across a little bit like, AI bot type speak, but you can refine it. You can go back and forth with it. Hey, make it a little more conversational. Ask the AI to ask you questions. So that's how you refine it. Now you go in to shoot the videos, and people will say, well, what's the best day to post? What's time? How many videos? They just get caught up in all of these questions. So I would just say start with something that's sustainable for you. So maybe you're going to be realistic, and you're like, you know what? I'm only going to do 1 video a week. That's cool. Every Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock, you post a video. Now batch create them so that you have the next 8 Wednesdays, and you don't have to worry about it for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And you can post a feed. Now, you should be doing 2, 3, 4 times, but in the beginning, what if it's just once? How many people don't post ever? So you're already crushing the competition if you make 52 videos this year,
Yeah.
once a
Love
week.
it.
That's all you need to do. And I would say pick either Wednesday for the day to post, or if you're going to go twice, go Tuesday, Thursday. And if you want to go 3 times, go Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
But at the end of the day, you're with the current that we should be doing multiple times a day.
Yes. So like every day I post something in my story, but in the actual feed, maybe once a day I'll post something, sometimes twice,
Yeah. Okay.
but usually once. And then I don't really post much on the weekend in the feed, but in stories I do.
Yeah.
And then YouTube, I'm just trying to do, because I have so many different things going on, I'm just trying to do one really good long form video a month. Once a month. That's not even that much. Now I know people who do 2 long form videos a week on YouTube, but I'm just trying to do one really good, one long, and then that shorts drive to the long. And then the long form derives to whatever else you want to do there.
Perfect. I want to thank you so much for taking your valuable time
Yeah,
to
man.
share. And I literally hope, I always tell people, I've never seen anybody build a million or multi-million-dollar business by listening to podcasts. You have to listen to the podcast, and then you have to apply the knowledge that Neel's been so gracious to share. His tips, tricks, secrets, what's gotten him to where he is. He's paid the dummy tax for you to shorten that gap. And all we can do is hope that you will apply this knowledge in your business, because literally there's so many people out there that are waiting for you to apply that so that you can help them. Neel, thank you so much for being a part of the None of Your Business
Appreciate you.
podcast.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We'll strive to one-up this one next week, but it's going to be so tough to do. But we'll give it a shot. You're going to have to come back and see who we have as our guest next week on the None of Your Business podcast. Until then, thanks for tuning in.